So thanks for joining us today for this first webinar. It's the first of a series of webinars that we're launching that will try to outline the benefits that Blackfire can bring to the numerous PHP communities. And as a start, we wanted to address the expectations of the e-commerce sector. Of course, e-commerce is a particularly interesting sector when we talk about application performance. And in this sector, of course, Magento plays a very important role. So we wanted to start a series of webinars discussing what Blackfire can bring to the Magento community and to Magento projects. Therefore, we've asked our friends at Magecore. They're a very experienced Magento development web shop. I'm sure most of you know them. They're also a Blackfire enterprise client. So we've asked them whether they would agree to share with you their experience. And they've answered positively, otherwise they wouldn't be here today. So I'd like to thank them for this and thank Dima, who will be talking in a few minutes. Now, let me quickly cover the agenda for this webinar. I'll start with a short, I promise, very short introduction to bring everybody up to date as to what is Blackfire. Some of you are users, some others are not, so it's important that we are all on the same page here. Then I'll hand it over to Dima. Dima Soroka is the CTO of Magecore, so he will show you his case study regarding the use of Blackfire on a couple Magento projects and the results that they've gotten out of it. I will then hand it over to Fabien, otherwise called my boss. He's the CEO of Blackfire. He's also the creator of the well-known Symfony PHP framework. And he will do a product demo, particularly focused around the latest developments within Blackfire, our upcoming features, really focusing on automated performance testing. And I'm sure you'll like that. And of course, we'll save some time at the end, around 15 minutes, if we may, to answer any questions that you may have. In the GoToWebinar interface, there's a possibility for you to ask questions. So we'll take your questions in writing at this time and we'll answer them. What do we want to achieve with Blackfire? Basically, a problem that is at the heart of many websites, and particularly in the e-commerce sector, is that 40% of the users tend to abandon a website that is too slow, that really takes more than 3 seconds to load. That's the problem, the main problem we want to help developers and DevOps to resolve. So today, how do you make sure that the new version of your application is not going to be slower than an existing one? Basically, it's really hard, or sometimes you can't, because today developers don't have the right tools to do this. A second aspect of things we want to resolve is the fact that if you deal with solving issues at a later stage in the development lifecycle, it gets to be more expensive. So we're trying to put the focus on helping developers to resolve issues before they even happen in production. So with that in mind, we've launched a few months ago Blackfire, and the commercial version of Blackfire was launched in early August this year. It's an application performance solution that's destined for developers and DevOps. It's designed to make it easy to measure, to understand, to compare, and to improve your code's performance. And we want that to be done in a continuous way because we feel it brings more value. So it helps improving the application performance basically at every step of the development lifecycle. Before, most cases, performance was overlooked, or people were going at it, with a fireman approach. Firefighting was already too late. Now we believe that this should be managed before problems happen again. So we want them to be able to use it during testing and staging, but also in production if needed. There's a Blackfire edition for any developer, meaning it comes in several flavors. We want to offer a free level of service to all developers, and it's called Hack. But we also have 2 additional levels of service. One is called Premium. The third one is called Enterprise, and that's the one the Magecore team has been using for its clients' benefits, with additional features, but I will not go into the details about this. I think it's more interesting today to focus as to what exactly you can achieve using Blackfire. So Dima, it should be in your hands now. for you to be able to share your screen and introduce us to your case study.
Thanks, Oliver. Hey everyone. Just once more, my name is Dima Soroka. I'm co-founder and CTO at Oro Inc. And just to give you an idea how Oro Inc. is related with Magecore, so I would like to give you a short introduction about our company. So our company is focused on development of PHP products, and my partners and myself, as well as majority of our team, have a lot of experience of working with Magento before, as we were involved in development of this product from the very beginning, and know a lot of insights about and how it could be optimized. So our company is focused on development of Oro CRM and Oro Commerce products, but we also doing business as Magecore and working on Magento customizations. We found that at the end of 2012, and since that, we implemented over 50 different custom projects where we had different kinds of engagement with our customers. And typical engagement with our customers starts with code analysis and performance analysis. And before we were doing performance analysis with our own tools. But last year on ZenCon, we met with Fabien, and he actually gave us a very nice demo of Blackfire IO and its capabilities. And it was very interesting, and for developers, it's very important to have a right tool at the right time. So we started discovering it, and like after we tried it in action, we liked it very much because it's very easy to use and allows you to get your page execution or request execution profile very quick and in very easy way. It's very easy to collaborate, as in Blackfire Enterprise there is a capability that allows to share a profile across multiple teams, so you can have multiple team members working on different parts of the application, but they can easily share request execution flow profiles with a Blackfire. And for that, we applied this tool to one of our projects, and it's a pretty big project from jewelry industry. The customer is running Magento Community Edition 1.9, and they are running about 4,000 transactions per month. Transactions mean orders. And they looking to grow. So before they start investment in marketing, they came to us and asked to, okay guys, it looks like we have performance issue, and for them they feel it only when they browse the website, because they do not have any insights on what is going right, what is going wrong with the code execution. So they came to us and asked us to take a look if performance of the website is ready for marketing campaign, and they can launch it. So we jumped on this project, and right now I will show you how we actually did performance analysis and how in a few easy steps using Blackfire IO we were able to optimize performance on the project pretty significantly. So the typical flow that we do for performance optimization starts with vanilla Magento instance profile. So that's a base point which you would like to use and see that custom project at least is comparable in performance with vanilla Magento instance, and with some tricks you can do it even better. So when you have vanilla Magento profile, next step would be is to prepare profiles for pages, for typical pages, and we would recommend at least to take a look in a few common pages like CMS page, category page, product page, shopping cart page, and checkout. So that's the pages that most of the users hit. So you're preparing these profiles, and when you have vanilla profile, customized project profile, you compare them. Based on comparison, you will be able to see what could be optimized there, perform optimization, and of course, as a next step, you would like to make sure that optimization was successful. So you compare optimized profile with original one and validate a result. So right now I'll show you how it looks in action. So here on my screen I have a profile for category view page for vanilla Magento instance. And with Blackfire we can see all the key metrics. So we see that this server, and we use this development server, so it's not most powerful one. So we can see that execution time of category page is 2.5 seconds. It's run 60 database queries, so you can go inside and see all the queries. So all this useful information, as well as you have access to functions list that was used for this request processing, and access to additional insights of aggregated information, like you can see how many Magento events, how many was triggered, how many files were compiled, and stuff like that. So all of this is very helpful. The next step we do is taking a profile of not optimized page. So basically we took a source code from the customer, we installed instance using a database of the customer, and we profiled it with Blackfire IO. As a result, we see that page execution time increased significantly, and we see that we have much more database queries triggered. So like an original we have around 60, and here we have more than 400 queries. So of course we just compared these profiles. So on comparison, you already able to see how these metrics correlate. So we can see that all metrics decreased on the customized page, and from a big view you can see the critical path, and you can follow the critical path in order to identify what was done not in optimal way and what is the root cause of performance degradation. So analyzing this, we went all the way down to product price HTML template, which is responsible for visualization of product prices on the category page, so where you have all the products and displaying prices for that. And one of the additional triggers there are actual additional calls for match model, which instantiated a product object. So we went to the template and saw a single line there that for every product that displayed on a category page, and typically you would have like at least like 20 products on a page, and for this customer by default they show 40 products on the page. So on every page, for every product price, there was a separate call that triggered a load of entire product model just in order to get a single attribute. And that attribute was even not used anywhere on the page. So like with this simple change, just commenting this line, or you can remove it as well, we were able to get very significant performance increase on a category load page. And in case if you would need this field or this attribute of a product to display on product price block, you always can add a load of this attribute to the collection. So there are other ways to do to extend product collection load and bring new data to the product collection and not to call product load every time you need to get just additional attribute. So as a result of optimization, we got a new profile which executes already for 1 second, and we optimized that block, but also in addition to that, we optimized another branch of profile. So let me just bring it quickly here. Okay, that goes all the way down. Because there is another issue which is related to configurable products and the way how configurable products calculate the stock. So for that, we did override of a configurable product. We did override of configurable product type, and I'll show you quickly this override. Just a sec, guys. Okay, so with that override, we just added additional validations that check if data was loaded for a product, and the reason why it could be loaded, because it could be loaded in scope of the collection. So if data is loaded, we using this data from the loaded collection, and if not, we just go to parent method. So putting all these optimizations, there are only two optimizations that were done for this page. So we compare the resulting profile to the customized version of a project, and we see significant performance increase, which is about 72%, and we see that we reduce significantly a number of database queries. And if you know that, like, to load product, it's not to run only one. A lot of factors involved to product load. And these results also reflected on the profile, so we can see that we get optimization on price calculation. And another branch that I wanted to show you, so we also optimized this is sellable method call, which gave us a significant performance increase. And after that, what we did, we also compared optimized version to vanilla Magento instance, and on vanilla Magento instance, we also get pretty good performance increase compared to the original Magento. So such optimization was done for other types of pages, like product page, CMS page, shopping cart page, and for every page you will find different reasons for performance degradation. But at the moment when we finished the project, we just got a notification that Magento released a security patch, and definitely we wanted to apply it to our customer in order to eliminate any vulnerabilities. But after applying a patch, we wanted to make sure that that patch not affecting performance, because scope of our work was to optimize performance, and we wanted to make sure that we deliver optimized result. So we applied patch, and after patch was applied on the CMH page, we discovered that we got a significant performance degradation, which was about 33%. So we drilled down into the profile. So here is entire profile of execution flow up to the root cause of the problem. So, and root cause was related to a new method that was introduced in the patch that increased security for the admin part of the application. And we saw that here, like this method adds a lot of additional time to execution flow. We went inside and saw that in the implementation, in order to get some simple data from database, there are collection logic involved. So we replaced that collection object, collection logic with just direct access to the database using resource model. And with that, we were able to optimize patch performance up to 10, or almost to 10%. So that's how right tool can help you to keep performance in a good shape and optimize performance of the application if you have any issues. And how to control performance and which other feature this amazing tool has, we will hear in a bit from Fabien. So I'll pass it over to Fabien. Thank you, guys.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Should be okay now? Yes. Okay, so thanks, Dima. I think everyone understood how to use Blackfire or how to use Blackfire to actually optimize the performance of a website. I'm going to talk about some of the new features that we are working on and features that are going to be available in the next couple of months, so probably at the beginning of December. But first, I want to show you how easy it is to use Blackfire to understand how your application behave and how you can find bottlenecks very easily. You can do so in the development environment. So if you have a project hosted on your laptop or on a staging environment, you can use Blackfire. But it's also possible to use Blackfire on production. Actually, I think it is a good idea to deploy Blackfire on your production servers because on those servers, the data are not the same. You have more data in the database, the network is not the same, the machines are not the same, which means that the performance is probably a bit different than what you have and what you can get out of your laptop. And deploying Blackfire on production servers is not a problem because by default, if you do not ask for a profile, if you are not profiling something, the overhead is insignificant. By default, Blackfire does not do anything if you do not ask explicitly for a profile. So the way you can profile a web page, so this is the Symfony.com web page, this is the production server actually, and I want to profile this page, or let's say that I want to profile the blog page, right? The first way you can do that is via the browser extension that we have. So this is a simple browser Chrome extension. I'm going to click on profile, and as you can see, it starts profiling the current page. So I'm actually profiling the current blog page. You can see it takes some time because we take several samples so that we can aggregate all the numbers to give you more accurate data and numbers. Then we have the main dimensions here, the word clock time, the I/O, CPU, the memory, the network, and SQL statements that were executed for this page. And then just clicking on View Profile, you can get more information like the call graph and the functions and so on, right? And that's where then you can have a look at the call graph, having a look at the critical path and the main functions consuming most of the resources. So here you can see that do generate is what actually consumes most of the resources, and mainly here the word clock time. You can do the same for any other dimension. So if I want to focus on memory, I can click here. I'm going to have almost the same UI, but now we are really focused on the function calls that are consuming most of the memory. And as you can see, the auto-loading is consuming most of the memory, which makes sense because it needs to load the PHP files. Okay, so that's the first step, and Dima talked about comparing different profiles. Oh, by the way, all the features I'm going to talk about now are part of the Act plan, which is a free plan. So that's you can use Blackfire for free doing profiling and also doing comparisons. So let's say I want to optimize this page. Some changes by just going back to the home page and taking profile again. So what I can do here is I can take a profile. I can take some time. Going back to Blackfire here. And one of the great thing about Blackfire is the fact that we are storing all your profiles on our servers, which means that you can compare a profile from today with a profile that you took a couple of months ago, for instance, or a week ago, so that you can compare version 1 of your product or the master branch of your product or the version that is online with the current version of your website. Right. When it's done, you can, here I'm going to refresh, and I can say that I want to compare this one with this one. So you can compare any two profiles, and then I can say that the home page is much faster than the blog page, and that's because here you can see that I have more SQL statements that are executed on the blog page. So that's how you can work with Blackfire. That's what Dima demonstrated very well in his talk, and that's the first use case for Blackfire. I've done a demonstration here in the browser, but you can do the same on the command line. So we have a Blackfire tool, and then I can say Blackfire curl http symfony.com, for instance, and you're going to have the exact same experience from the command line. So again, it takes some time, and I'm going to have the summary of what's going on for this web page, and I have the URL. I can click here to get more information about the core graph and what's going on in my app. More interesting is that we are actually using curl from your machine, which means that you can test web services or APIs or post requests or things like that by adding more options to the curl command line tool, like X post here, doing that. And of course, this one is safe, but most of the time you have some side effects when doing post requests, which means that you can also limit the number of samples by passing some more options. But you can also say that you want a JSON output. So let's say like this. So here I'm going to post on Symfony.com, making only one sample because I know that there are some side effects. And then I have a JSON representation of the profile. That's very interesting if you want to integrate Blackfire into your own tools. So you can see that we have the main dimensions here, the memory usage, the I/O, the CPU, the peak memory usage, the wall clock time, network in, network out, and all the SQL statements are also here. Here you can see the SQL statements. They are anonymized, which means that we do not get sensitive information from your server and things like that. And it works in the exact same way if you want to compare two different profiles from the command line. What you can do as well is you can use run to profile your daemons, your workers, written in PHP, or any PHP script, really. So if I'm just trying to echo something with PHP-R, it's going to work in the exact same way. Of course, this one is not that interesting because I'm going to have not that many nodes, not that many function calls, right? So there is nothing to actually optimize. So this is really a quick overview of what you can do with the free version of Blackfire. Now I'm going to talk about some exciting features that we are going to add in the next couple of weeks, really. And the first one I want to talk about is the ability to create assertions tests with Blackfire. Because of course, one of the great things is we want you to be able to manage the performance of your website on a day-to-day basis, not just, you know, time performance analysis, trying to optimize the website once and then, you know, just doing something else. We really want to be sure that you do not have any regressions, any performance regression during the lifetime of your application. One way to do that is to integrate Blackfire into your test suite, for instance. And we do have integration with PHP Unit, for instance, via a PHP SDK. So you can go to, and the SDK is actually free, so that's something you can do with the Act Plan as well. So if you go to Blackfire.io PHP SDK, you have the PHP SDK here that you can use with a composer, for instance. Let me show you an example. So Sami is an open source project that can generate PHP docs or an HTML version of your PHP docs. That's not that interesting, but more interesting is that I have an integration test here. This is a regular PHP unit test case, but here I'm testing using Blackfire. So I have some assertions. So an assertion is a variable, a metric in Blackfire speak. So a metric is this is the cost of something happening in your code. So here I want to count the number of times some function are actually called, and I want to be sure that the number of writes are under a certain limit, and the same goes for the rig calls. The details are not that interesting here, but this is just to show you that I can write some assertions related to performance, and then when I run the code, I'm just wrapping the code with this our sub PHP unit, and Blackfire is going to do everything else. Anything that is really needed. So it's going to instrument the code, taking a profile of this specific part of the code, and making sure that the assertions are actually okay. So if I go here, I'm going to show you how that works. I'm going to Sami, I'm going to run PHP unit, and you can see that the first test actually passes. Yes, it passes. Now I'm going to edit the code. I'm going to simulate a regression in performance. Running the code again, stopping on the first failure, for instance, so that it's going to be a bit faster. And it fails. It fails because of a performance problem. And as you can see here, I have one test, failures are of 2, and you can see the assertion that is actually failing. So I want the number of write calls to be 0, and the number is to be 1, and the number is actually 0. And if I want to understand why there is such a regression, then I can click on this link, and you will have, in a second, the profile where you can understand what's going on and why you have a problem. And as you can see here, the assertions are actually part of the profile, so you can also have here all the details about the assertions and all the tests that were executed for this specific PHP unit test. The great thing about this integration into PHP unit is that it natively integrates with your current continuous integration workflow. So if you are using Jenkins or Travis or whatever tools, natively Blackfire is going to be part of this workflow very easily. And of course, so you can use, so by default, we have a bunch of metrics that you can get for free. So we have some on PDO, Doctrine, Magento, Symfony, Twig, but also on some C extensions like Redis, Memcached, RabbitMQ, and a bunch of other ones like Mongo, MySQL, etc., etc. And those metrics can be used in assertions to let you really understand what's going on in your code, and so that you can create your own performance referential. Really. But you can do more than that. You can also be sure that when you deploy on your production servers, you do not have regressions on several pages. So Dima talked about that before. But on any given website, you probably need to be sure that the performance is great on the home page, the blog page, the category page, a product page, the checkout page, and so on. So doing that manually is tedious, not very interesting. So you need a way to actually automate that, and that's possible with Blackfire. So I'm going to go to Symfony.com. This is an environment for the Symfony.com website, and so instead I'm going to show you one file here. So this is a Symfony.com website here, and I've created a .blackfire.yaml file. And in this blackfire.yaml file, you can do several things. So the first one you can do is you can create tests. So I've talked about a PHP unit test, but you can also create some tests here directly in the blackfire.yaml file. And those tests are going to be executed whenever you take a profile on any page, right? So whenever you are taking a profile on a page on this website, we're going to execute those tests based on the path. So here we're saying that we want to execute this test for all the path on the website, and here you can see the assertions that we want to run. So we want to be sure that it doesn't take too much time to generate the page. We want to be sure that the generated page is not too huge. The same goes for the memory, etc., etc. And then you can also create some scenarios. So here, whenever, and I'm going to talk about the triggers afterwards, but let's say whenever I deploy on production, I want to be sure that the performance is good on the home page, download page, the blog page, and so on, right? So here you can see that I can write scenarios, and for each page I'm going to execute all the tests defined at the beginning of the file. So those scenarios are triggered by many different ways. So the first one is via a webhook. which means that, again, you can integrate that into your own continuous integration or continuous deployment story very easily. So that's just a URL that you can use here, and I'm going to click here on trigger. It's going to create a new build, and this new build is going to hit all the pages defined in the scenarios, running all the tests, taking several samples every time, so that's why it takes some time, and then I'm going to have a full report about what's going on my website. I'm talking about production, but you can do the same with the staging environment if you have some, or you can do the same with pull request if you are able to deploy your website for every single pull request. So as you can see, it's done, and I have a report. As you can see, I have some errors, and for each test, I have all the tests. For each scenario, I have all the tests, all the assertions, and a link to the profile to better understand what's going on. That's the first way to integrate scenarios in Blackfire, doing that with a webhook. What you can do as well is you can say, I want to run all the scenarios on every 6 hours, and that's the case here for Symfony.com. That's a great way to actually see if you have some regressions in performance, not because of some code changes, but just because of some network problems, or because you have more data in the database, or you have a peak in the number of people browsing your website, or whatever problems outside of a code change. So here, every 6 hours, Blackfire is going to run all the scenarios, and you're going to have a build. All the builds are available on the timeline here. So if I go to Symfony.com here, you can see all the profiles, but also all the builds I have here, right? And of course, we also have some notifiers. So a notifier is a way to get some notification, of course. So we have an email notifier. So if I run my email client, I'm going to show you one of them. We also have integration with Slack. Again, we have a webhook if you want to integrate that into your own tools. And GitHub is very interesting, and that's how you can get some feedback, some status feedback on GitHub pull requests. So here, if I go here, you can see that here I have one of them. So I have this email, so I can get notified whenever there is some regression in terms of performance on my production servers, for instance. So one of the main goals of Blackfire is to give you the tools to easily manage the performance of your PHP projects from day one to the whole life cycle of your development. So on your laptop, on the development machines, but also on the tests and staging servers, and up until the production servers as well. So I think that's all I wanted to talk about today. That's a lot of information, really. So if you have any questions about what we've just talked about, I would be more than happy to answer any questions.
Sont activés.
Okay. Hi everyone, again Olivier speaking. So as you've seen, you have the ability to ask questions, and I will relay those questions on to Dima and Fabien. Now, we had questions earlier on about production server, the ability to install production. We've answered that one. Fabien answered that one during his presentation. We do have a question from someone who's wondering whether he would be capable to use Blackfire for every single one of his clients, and having the ability to basically define their needs and upgrade their account, their Blackfire account. So it's the relationship between a master account that he could have on Blackfire, then allowing clients to use Blackfire. Now, I may try to answer that one. The way you can do that today is basically opening a Blackfire enterprise account and assigning a team to each client. Now, this means that you do own the Blackfire account, and that you are basically inviting each specific client to participate into profiling and performance testing activity on his specific project. Now, this may not necessarily be suitable for what you want to do. I don't know in details how you want to have this. We do also work, for example, with other agencies who are asking their clients to open a specific account for their own needs, and therefore in this case the client is responsible. There is, at this stage, we do not have a mix where within one single account you could basically have the two ways. This is not something that exists today, but this is definitely something we should probably consider, particularly for agencies. This hasn't been the focus up until now, but this is really an interesting question that we should dig into. Do we have any other questions? Let me see. I see other questions coming here. How would you profile someone placing an order? So I will let Fabien answer this one.
Okay, so this one is kind of interesting. So I'll show you how you can use Blackfire curl from the command line. And one thing you can do is here on Network tab, when you are on Chrome or Firefox, you can right-click and copy as curl. That's one way you can do that. And then you can say Blackfire and then paste. And it's going to work. So you have Blackfire curl. Then you have all the information needed for doing the request. And of course, I can see here I have a cookie. So it means that you need to be able to simulate a session from this perspective. So here, that's something you can do very easily if you're on the same machine. Then if the question is, can I do that from scenarios? That's something we are working on, so it's not going to be available for the first version of the scenarios, but that's something you will be able to do probably at the beginning of next year.
Okay. Right now, I don't see any additional questions. If anyone is interested in asking questions, we still have a couple of minutes.
Okay, so there's a question about an admin sys, and he wants to install Blackfire on all the customers' pre-prod and development environments. That's a great idea. So the great thing is that they can do that very easily with the Act plan without paying anything. And then the way it works is that when you install that with the Act plan, they have some personal credentials that you can use, server credentials. The problem with the server credentials is that there is only one person able to provide this specific server. But then, based on a team, so if you create a team for each of your client, for instance, you can give them the server credential for the team, and then can just change the configuration on the server, and then they're going to benefit from all the enterprise features that you paid for. And then it's up to you to actually build the customer. That's one way you can do that, or then you can also let them pay for a Blackfire enterprise account. So that's totally possible. And the second part of the question is automation of account creation. So that's actually on the roadmap. We're going to have a full API. That's not the case today. So the answer is no. You can't automate the account creation right now, but that's something we are working on, definitely. Will you publish the recording of the webinar?
Yes, indeed we are. It's being recorded. You should have, and we will send you this via email, a link to review this webinar, and potentially if you'd like to share it with other people in your respective teams. This should be effective not tomorrow, which is a day off in France, but will be effective this Thursday this week. You will receive an email about that. Okay, well, I think that's it for today. I'd like to thank you very much for bearing with us during this presentation. We are available for for additional news on our blog. If you want to stay up to date with all of the recent developments on Blackfire, the blog is an excellent destination. And of course, we will stay in touch, and don't hesitate to contact us directly if you would like to have some additional information, or if you'd like to schedule a specific presentation for your team regarding Blackfire Enterprise. And thank you, Dima, for your very active participation. It was really interesting to see the way you guys have been using Blackfire on top of Magento. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for developing a great tool.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.